right, it's Wednesday night. You
Well,
know what that means. We had AEW Dynamite. I
dynamite,
am
dynamite.
I am saying that is range, and we're going to
Mm,
talk to you about something. But first, I want to jump right into the one thing I'm not going to let go of until I get it off my chest.
You want
They
a
announced
scissor?
we got William Regal saying blood and guts. That's great. That's cool. Like, you knew it was going to happen eventually. But later, they confirmed what
Guts.
show that was going to be at. And there's two people that you're looking at right now. If you're watching this video, they're going to be live in attendance at that show. And it's
Hell yeah.
also 3 days removed from the Forbidden Door pay per view. So, holy shit. I was already excited so much
Holy
when we
shit,
got the
it's right.
tickets. But now it's like, it's been, how long has it been since bought tickets? That was back in March, wasn't it?
It's yeah. I'm gonna say we bought them as soon as we found out they were coming here.
So it's been a little bit of time, and so like I've had the tickets, the excitement kind of dies down. You're just kind of waiting for the time to get here. I would have got
Yep.
super hyped in like a couple, 2, 3 weeks as we were getting closer and closer. But now,
But
on
now,
yes,
the
um, I basically
hype
have
is
been
real.
posting the Jonah Hill like excited like gif everywhere because that has been me for about the last half hour, 45 minutes. However, half hour is probably about right since we found out.
Hey,
How do you
hell yeah.
feel? How do you feel?
I feel like we win. 'Cause, like when we bought these tickets, we were just thinking we were gonna go to a regular ass dynamite.
Which you always know is going to
And
be good anyway.
yeah, which would have been good anyway. But after we bought the tickets, we find out all of these extra things that are going to be happening. Like we find out is going to be the Fallout show from the Forbidden Door pay-per-view a few days before. We're gonna have the blood and guts match there. That's
Winner,
going to be such
winner,
a big show.
chicken dinner. And I
Chicken
never say that phrase,
dinner,
but
baby.
all right. But
Say we're gonna eat chicken dinner that day for sure.
on my way to your house after work, I'll just stop and grab chicken. Be like, "We're eating it on the way. Let's go."
Yeah, we're getting chicken for sure. 'Cause we are winners for sure.
You
And
want to know
chicken is for winners.
who is not winners? The Ass
Anybody that's
Boys.
not going to be there. Okay, yeah, the ass boys were not winners. That's for sure.
When they start to show off, and we get CM Punk coming out, new champ, teaming with FTR on a roll, just kind of staying away from the AEW tag team titles, so that way you can show off multiple teams.
Yeah,
They come out to start off the show right after a pay per view. This guy's a brand new champ, and you are Max Caster and the Gun Club. Yeah, it's
yeah.
probably not going to go well for you.
Hey, Max Caster. Let's see. Max Caster had a dope freestyle though, as per usual.
Is
I
it
am
over?
always a fan of the Max Caster freestyles.
Any specific lines that you remember? I got one.
um, I do remember that I can't remember the lines, but I know he brought up Amber Heard today, of course.
Basically, he referenced like his opponents in the match. He says we're gonna make them pay like Amber Heard.
Oh yeah, yeah, there we go. Mhm. Either way, that's right, Max.
Restroom kind of cut out a little bit during his rap, but I got back in time to see probably the highlight of their whole okay, I don't want to say that because Max is always fun when he gets to rap, but
Yeah,
the end part of the entrance is always going to be something that gets a good
yeah,
laugh.
yeah. The ending is I'm loving the ending now since he's coming out with the ass boys all the time. So Anthony Bowens, it just gives him that much more to go. And then the Gun Club always tries to do the intro or the Bowens part, and they both always say the wrong city. I think one of them said San Diego today. One of them said Sacramento, maybe I can't remember, or Hollywood, or one of either way. It was a different city in California besides Los Angeles. But that was really hype though. Getting Anthony Bowens, Los Angeles, the acclaimed have arrived. Sesame Daddy ass. Just it just sets it off over the top. Like the fact that he's sitting there in that wheelchair, getting wheeled in by giant ass Billy Gunn. Sesame Daddy ass.
hmm And it wasn't done though either, because after that he had the crowd chanting ass plays, and it wasn't like how it was during the match, where it was in like a negative jeering way. It was more in like a musical way, where it was
Mhm,
it was in a positive thing. Everybody was having fun, so that I was like, oh, this is cool. Like everyone's having fun. Ass boys were not hating it as much as they have in the past, starting to
mhm,
embrace it until it ended up being more of a negative during the match.
mhm.
Um, Match
Oh,
itself,
match itself is kind of boring, I thought. I
yeah,
did want to highlight that LA really loves CM Punk because man, his cheers were louder than usual.
yep. I mean, it's by comparison. Lately, we've been getting a lot of split crowds just because of who he was going against. So
Okay.
it's
Yeah, that
interesting to
makes
see.
sense.
Like, okay, now it's done. It's over with. You're not split anymore. You're just he's the champ. But he ended up getting the end because after he kind of cleared out everybody, Billy Gunn got up on the ring apron. He ended up power bombing one of the Austin into Billy Gunn on the ring apron, picked him back up, had to go to sleep, tagged in FTR, hit the big rig, got the win, and then we get into a promo after, which is starting to set up the next pay per view.
Basically, Punk was, I'm happy to be the champion here, means a lot, and da 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 da. Then we've is that Dax that gets the mic afterwards, and he's talking about their match, FTR's match, and how they got interrupted by someone from New Japan. He didn't mention the specific people, as the point of this promo is that they are calling out New Japan. Then Punk gets the microphone back after Dax gets in his few words. He also calls out New Japan. He says he wants to know who he's going to face at Forbidden Door. And then as he's sitting that cue prom or cue music, I don't know many things about any of the New Japan folks, but it looks like we've got Hiroshi Tamahashi.
Tanahashi, the ace,
Yeah,
comes out.
yes.
He does his thing at the top of the ramp, kind of poses. They get a nice close up on him. Crowd appreciative. They recognize he
Mhm,
gets a reaction.
mhm.
Commentators talked about it. They even were like, "Hey, like even the fans cheering, blah blah blah." But just pretty much to set up that this guy. At
Yeah,
one point, they even
him and
said this guy carried the company when things were getting really, really bad years and years ago. So they were just really, really putting him over on top of everything.
so yep, so it looks like that's who CM Punk is going to be facing at the Forbidden Door. Like, I mean, nothing official, but it looks like we at least got one match that we know is going to happen.
We know what's next for one major star. However, the next segment left a lot of questions. What's next for another major star? Because basically they let MJF go off in a pipe bomb type feel. It went long enough where it kind of became clear to me. I'm like, it might have started off as a real issue, but now it definitely feels like it's turning into a story because he got to go for a long time and say a lot of
Yeah,
things.
yeah, he drugged Tony Khan through and like he just drug him the whole promo. And I was like, all right, he is giving them that Vince McMahon treatment over there. You know
Yep.
how everybody just cuts on Vince over there.
If
Loved
you
it.
don't have a lot of notes on this one, I can kind of go beat. I can do the rough beats of
Mhm.
the early part, which the probably the first half to two-thirds is really where the meat was, because at the end it was just basically burying Tony Khan for like maybe the last third of it, calling him basically a mark, saying he's only qualified to be in the stands up in the front row. Um, but he comes out and he says, "This is Max Friedman talking, specifically showing like." not MJF as a character, saying it's him as a person. Saying there's that big merger happening. It would be a shame if something embarrassing happens. Acknowledges that Tony K has tried to sit down with him. At this point, the crowd is actually chanting, "Shut the fuck up." Says everyone else in AEW in the beginning it was like giving free meal tickets to your friends. So everybody else,
Mhm.
right off the bat, were getting good contracts and stuff like that. And him, on the other hand, he wasn't he didn't say this, but at the point in time he was coming out of the indies, like people knew he had all the potential in the world, but he wasn't given that same free pass, so he had to work for it. And all he's done is deliver big moment after big moment after big moment. He isn't expected to hit home runs every week when he's out there. He's expected to hit grand slams. He said it's hard to be the 26-year-old under the microscope with all this potential and everything, because he is carrying the company. And Texas fans that are choosing to clap for him at this point in time, showing his frustration, because he said these were the same people. Like, where were you when everybody was calling me unprofessional and shit on Saturday? Says the boys in the back who want spots can have it. He doesn't want to be there. That the fans who hear all these stories are just uneducated marks and they don't know shit.
Yeah.
Um, he says, "Why is he the best, even though nobody talks about it?" Kind of thing is because he doesn't wrestle reckless, he doesn't drop people on his head, etc., etc. He's the second biggest minute per minute draw. He says, even ask Tony Khan, but don't ask Tony Khan to pay that man. But no, that's all for the ex WWE guys that he keeps bringing in. And then it just continues down the burial road of Tony Khan.
Yeah. Yeah, he did that he did his whole Rodney Dangerfield I get no respect spiel in there. And I was like, all right, Rodney. Yeah, that was pretty much it. He says basically he doesn't even have to put on good matches because he's just that good.
Oh yeah, that was one of
Like,
the other things I was saying. Didn't get appreciation besides the
he
Russell
was like, you
Reckless and
care about
everything.
the stars and the matches and the blah blah. And it's like basically saying I don't have to put on a good match if I don't want to. People are still gonna watch me.
He said he's so good at his job because he was trained really, really well that he doesn't things don't look that like bad like how other people can and everything else, because he's just that good. And it's a in this way he was trying to say like it was a hindrance to him in terms of like getting the respect, because he wasn't doing all the things that looked super, super reckless and scary or whatever it may be. Um, the only thing to really
Yeah.
add after that is he went on the rampage, where he's like cussing into the camera. They're bleeping it out, saying "Fire me, fire me, fire me, Tony Khan, fire me, you." And then it was just probably
Yeah. And then they just
7 to
cut his
10
mic.
seconds of straight beep, and then cut his mic. Yeah,
Yeah, they cut his mic. He slams the mic down, and we go to commercial. That was quite the damn promo. I mean, I finally don't believe that all this is real drama, at least. So we got that much out of it. But yeah, you could tell there was definitely some kind of issue at some point between him and Tony Khan about that contract. And it's probably been resolved since if they're playing it up like this. But yeah,
I feel
just
especially since
huge.
at the end of the pay-per-view he was wheeled out on a stretcher. So if you didn't have certain kinds of things resolved, it's so easy to say take a week off at least, because we had you wheeled
Hmm.
out on a stretcher. You didn't have to throw him back out there.
Yep. Yeah, I think that was their way of letting us know, like, it's part of the act. It's not that, like, it's not that real. Like, it's real, but it's not that real. Basically, MJF is saying that he is all elite wrestling, which makes a good time to cut to our next match with Johnny Elite with his Johnny-ness.
I
But
mean, elite's in
so
his name. He
earlier it
is
had been
elite.
yeah, Johnny, he's the one that's elite. So, but yeah, speaking of WWE guys that came over, here's one. Johnny Elite had proposed an open challenge earlier in the day. So he comes out, does his entrance to the ring, and
Someone else that I
You know,
thought you were
and
actually
then
referencing as an ex WWE guy gets a video
yeah,
package
and then
saying,
here comes the video package with Miro. Miro is back from injury. He says he is healthy as far as his body goes. Mentally, he's not there yet. What he wants to do to get his mental health together is he's going to take down everybody in All Elite Wrestling. He called out CM Punk. He called out Hangman. I can't remember exactly who else, but basically, he called out all the biggest names in AEW just before he comes out to enter to the ring to face Johnny Elite in his open challenge.
for
And I know you were here for this match. I know this was a big one for you, so I'm going to let you talk about the match.
and that's actually where I was trying to think of a good way to segue into the next part was because I was so
I mean, it
excited.
wasn't really much of a match.
Right. I was so excited, for MJF,
It
and
was a
then
beating.
something I was been anxiously waiting for comes right after, which was the return of Miro, and the majority of this match in the beginning was all Miro. Literally, that was going to be my notes, all Miro all the time. Then
Hmm.
Johnny managed to get some kicks in on and stuff, and he eventually got Miro down on the mat. He went to go to the top, probably do Starship Pain or something. I mean, that's his finisher, but if it was something else, it doesn't really matter because Miro rolled in towards the turnbuckle. Johnny went to do the thing where he lands on his feet and rolls through away. They actually clipped each other on the way down, so there was a little bit of clumsiness to it. But when they turned around, Miro hits him with this kick, and then Signal's game over, and he immediately put it on, dropped backwards, had him bent all the way back. Match over. Miro wins.
Redeemer.
That
Yeah,
man,
this was my first Miro match, but I'm excited to see more of him.
he made when he was TNT champion that title feel so important because he made it seem so important to him that it didn't really matter who he was facing because the challengers changed all the time. Like I don't
Mhm.
want to say it was an open challenge title, but it was regularly defended, and he made it seem so important just between like a promo as him as like a warrior putting value on the championship, his relationship with God, and everything else. It very much reminded me of like old like the Greek ancient history or mythology and stuff, like the warriors and that stuff with their relations and just proving their worth and stuff like that. So just if he could do that with no specific feuds, I know he can talk. We know he's a big boy who can go in the ring and make things look super tough, and I'm just excited, and especially considering since he was gone, we've added quite a few names, and a few of them are bigger guys. So when you can get some big guys having those strong physical matchups, sometimes nothing can beat that.
Yeah, I'm happy to see him back because he's big and scary. Big and scary is cool. Hell yeah.
And
You
speaking of
Um,
scary, we'll go with a little bit of,
is it scary?
I was gonna say throwback to the when Justin Roberts says shit's about to hit the fan at Double
Yeah.
or Nothing, because next we get the Anarchy in the Arena recap before the Jericho Appreciation Society comes out without Daniel Garcia for their promo. Angelo Parker basically does the appreciate us thing. Daddy Magic asks, "Did you order the pay per view? Did you see it?" Calls himself, if I got this right, the Princes of Pain.
Yes.
I really thought that was if there was somebody else out there like promoting against them, that probably would have turned into Princess really quick.
Yeah. Yeah, they're yeah, I don't know. Yeah, they came out and pretty much they all just bragged about how great they are
Then
and what
Jericho,
they do.
he did the the bad guy hypocrite thing because he sits there and talks about how brutal that match was, but it wasn't like this, that getting their head slammed into the ground and different things that happen. It was things like Eddie trying to come down to the ring and catch him on fire. He's like, "What kind of man burns another man?" One of the two guys on commentators laughed, and the other one says, "A wizard."
Yeah, just like that. A fucking wizard would do that.
Jericho then talks about even after that, uh, Brian Danielson did the whole "I want to kick his fucking head in," and then the result on that one was just Danielson getting choked out. Eddie's music hits. Regal came out with them. Eddie says he doesn't have the rest of the guys right there. Like they're not talking, they're beat up, not there, whatever. Different reasons for different ones. Um,
Mhm.
he says, Regal, tell them where I want to fight them. And we
Yep.
get what I thought we might have got a couple before Enter King in the Arena. Regal saying blood and
Blood and
guts.
guts. Yeah,
Originally,
buddy.
Jericho says no.
Said no.
Kingston starts to charge the ring. Jericho Appreciation Society goes out of the ring to cut off Eddie, leaves Jericho in the ring. As it happens, Ortiz slides in, hits him with the Mad Ball, cuts a chunk of Jericho's hair off, and gets Jericho to accept blood and guts. But he also wants a
Yeah,
hair versus hair match versus Ortiz. We're going
yeah.
to see Jericho with short hair again, aren't we?
I think so. Yeah, especially after he might as well after he already got a piece of it cut out today. So I kind of look forward to seeing Ortiz get that win.
I don't know what that means for blood and guts though. If Ortiz gets a win to keep his hair, does Jericho lose his hair and then lose blood and guts? But also
Mm,
Jericho lost the last blood and guts, but Jericho was also with the inner circle for that, which was Santana, Ortiz, and some of them.
mhm.
So I'm not sure. Um,
We'll see. We'll
after
see.
After that, it was just a simple video package showing Samoa Joe backstage. He's about to be talked to about how his
Yeah,
arm's feeling and everything after his match on Sunday at the pay per view. Then Jay Lethal, Satnam Singh, and Sanjay Dutt attack him. Ends up with an arm around his hurt, or sorry, a chair around his hurt arm, and they ram him into one of the storage cases and leaves him. And that was really it.
yeah, yeah. Bad stuff happened for him. So basically, they're going to say Joe was hurt for the time being. I guess maybe.
Yeah,
But yeah, that was it for that.
give him a couple weeks off or something, because it won't be
Yeah,
long for something like that, I would imagine, especially since he's holding a Ring of Honor title belt.
yeah.
It just might
Oh yeah,
be
yeah. He's got
enough
a
to spread out the feud to wherever they want the finale to end up being, like timeline wise or location wise.
right too, right too.
Next, we just get the massive 10-man tag team
Oh
match,
yeah,
which
10-man tag.
it was a 10-man tag. It was chaos. Everyone got their moment to shine. They all got their stuff in, like Jungle Boy hitting a
We got
destroyer off of Luchasaurus backs.
we
Um,
had we had Adam Cole at the announce table for this one.
Talking about how Double or
Was
Nothing was
that?
such a great night for the Undisputed Elite.
Yeah.
It should be mentioned though that the teams are Matt Hardy, not Jeff, still beat up.
Mhm.
Christian, Darby, Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus versus Red Dragon, Young Bucks, Hikuleu.
And,
Um,
yeah, the Hikuleo.
so that was their fifth guy while Adam Cole was on stage doing
Yeah.
commentary. Um,
Basically, Hikuleo was there to be the opposite of Luchasaurus.
because he's got him beat by at least a few inches.
Yeah, he was definitely bigger than Luchasaurus.
At one point, he went over the top rope and pretty much went directly down on his head. But he got up instantly, and Jungle Boy jumped off. I think it was Jungle Boy jumped off the top rope and caught him after. I was like, oh, whoo, he's up. That's good because
Yeah,
dude took a nasty spill.
it's a little crazy. But yeah, lots of high flying, obviously, from Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus.
Yep.
Darby does his daredevil shit too, of course.
Same with the
Matt
Bucks.
Hardy does dad stuff. Like he takes his kids to school and packs their lunches and stuff like that.
Um, there was only one notable thing, but it happened after the match. So the match ended up ending with Matt Jackson pinning Jungle Boy after a melted driver. But after the match, after Undisputed Elite cleared out the ring, Matt Hardy's kind of like giving like a little half like side hug type of thing to Jungle Boy, just kind of
Yeah,
consoling
like
him after
like
taking
a
the pin.
hey, I know we lost. Sucks.
Christian comes in. He doesn't really like hard push. It was just more of like a hey hey kind of thing, and pushes him away, and then
Yeah,
humps
like
Jungle Boy
don't
himself.
associate with this loser kind of thing.
And that's basically what happened because they slide out of the ring, and Jungle Boy is even like what, and Hardy's just in the ring like what was that
Yeah,
about? Weird.
yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah. It's setting up that inevitable split.
yeah, and
Like
just showing the
who
history
knows when it's
between
gonna come.
And Christian too. So you have all that history
Um,
there to play off of. But yeah, that was the only notable thing, and even then, it was kind of small. It's just the fact that obviously it's there to plant the seed for something that's going to be coming up.
right, right. Yep. Yeah. Yep. Just we know the split's coming. Just don't know when. So, uh, but next, I although I like both the guys, I felt like this promo was pointless. Because next is the Swerve and Keith Lee promo. Swerve introduces a whole bunch of people that I know nothing about
Basically, it
because
just seemed
he's a
like most of
mogul.
it was about him just having connections in multiple different avenues and businesses. Like one
Yeah,
guy was from fashion, one guy did some kind of work on like Black Panther, that kind of stuff, and it was just name dropping kind of thing.
yeah, yeah. It was just, hey, I know a lot of people. And I don't know, Keith Lee talked about how great both of them are, and whether it be singles or doubles. The only thing I could really gather out of this promo is that Swerve in Our Glory is the official tag team name for them.
The most I really got out of it was probably Swerve's line saying like, "We're in L.A. You had Magic and Cream. You had Kobe and Shaq. Two individual superstars coming together, winning championships." So it was just, and then Keith Lee took over and said, whether it be solo or together, the whole thing was basically just to say we're gonna win championships. It's coming.
Yeah, yeah, that was pretty much it. Was just, hey, everybody, be afraid of us because we're gonna start winning. Mm.
Next, we
Yeah.
get someone calling out what I believe is your favorite champion.
Hmm. Yeah, she's definitely my favorite champion. So yeah, this is the Athena promo. Athena comes out with Tony Schiavone. Um, Kind of standard. She's basically just she's telling everyone how tough she is, and she's going to be the first to defeat Jade.
All streaks were made to be broken.
Yep,
It
yep,
was
all streaks need to be broken. I'm gonna be the one to break your streak.
I will say she actually came off more comfortable because I wasn't sure her having freedom and considering how little that she talked
Mhm.
before. I wasn't sure what to expect. She seemed comfortable on the mic and actually,
Yeah,
talking and projecting and showing emotion, that kind of stuff. But
yeah, I liked her
yeah,
on the mic.
the context was completely cliche.
Yeah, but yeah, pretty cliche is, hey, I'm new, so what? I'm gonna beat you. And of course, Jade's not gonna let her get away with talking that shit because she had to come out and let Tony know that he needs to cut the shit. But yeah, so Jade is like a whole foot taller than Athena. So this, so this whole thing with her and like Athena trying to look tough in front of a gigantic woman looks funny to me.
Yep, Jade was basically like, you can call yourself this, you can call you that, but you're not that bitch. And she wants to
Yeah,
introduce this guy, and she doesn't even say his name.
yeah, yeah. She's here's my new manager.
But I'm pretty sure from what I saw on Twitter, I think he's back to using Stokely Hathaway.
Yep.
He says he's her publicist. He throws a couple adjectives at Jade, but then as far as the title shot goes, then Jade interrupts and says no to a title shot, and Kiera Hogan steps up to Athena, which brings out Statlander and Anna Jay to end up doing like the 3v3 face off on stage that just gets separated.
Yeah,
Are we going to
yeah.
finally
Refs come
get
out
to
in bare.
see Kiera Hogan start to do a little bit more on television?
Say we. I feel like we at least got a 3-on-3 match coming up at some point here.
And you got to build to it somehow, and you're probably
Let's
not
go
using
baddies.
Jade to build it the whole time. Like that's the whole point of having minions.
Yeah, let's go Jade. Let's go, Jade. I love that woman.
um, after that,
So
probably the quickest match of the night with JD Drake versus Wardlow.
yes, this is Wardlow's first match as a member of AEW. Blah blah.
He has music.
um, yeah, I was gonna say notable this time when he comes through the back, his music actually starts playing this time. I was kind of hoping he was gonna get a new song, like would have been sweet. But yeah, very quick match. I think I think there was you said there
I thought
might
I
have been
saw
two power
two, but
bombs,
they said
but
just
I
one.
think there was only one power bomb in this one. That's how quick this match was. Only
Guess I
one power.
thought
That and
there was
JD
one
Drake
and
is
then
a
roll
fat
over.
guy, so you're not about to power bomb a fat guy that many times. but
Um,
but yeah, after match, they're about to cut a promo with Wardlow. Tony Schiavone comes into the ring. He's about to cut a promo with Wardlow. Of course, Wardlow doesn't really get to say anything because here comes Mark Sterling with all the AEW security guys behind him.
that he's representing
Um,
for his class action lawsuit against Wardlow.
yep. Yeah, so he hands the paperwork to one of the security guys who goes to serve Wardlow, and this is obviously because Wardlow has beat up every security guard for the last 2.5 months now. so,
Wardlow has such a little line in here that it makes me laugh, even though it doesn't really fit within how it was produced as a segment. But he grabs the mic back real quick and goes, "This guy must not watch the product."
yeah, that's what he says. He says that, throws the mic back down, then he power bombs the security guard member that's in the ring with him, just to let him know, Mark Sterling, I don't give a fuck about your lawsuit.
I feel like if they're actually breaking this from like Twitter and stuff, that there's going to be some kind of story, and it's Wardlow. So I feel like outside of squashing Mark Sterling on a random Dynamite or something, I don't know how much of a story there is here to it. So unless Mark Sterling starts to have more representation for the
Yeah, I was
people that
gonna
he's
say, yeah,
representing,
unless it's if he finds someone else, because Tony Nese isn't gonna be the guy that's gonna beat him.
I mean
Like,
he
who
could
else
throw him
does he
out there,
got?
but it's not gonna go well for him.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, so next
I
promo with Scorpio Sky, Dan Lambert, and Ethan Page.
very basic. Dan Lambert talks a little
Yeah,
bit. There's really not much up to it. It's just basically them talking shit about Dante to build up for their title match on Friday, saying he's
yeah.
young, he has potential, all that other stuff, but he's not there yet.
Scorpio tries to go for his snap. Just as he's about to snap his finger, Dante comes in and grabs his hand. Basically like I don't remember word for word what Dante said, but it was a little awkward because he's still kind of awkward on the mic. But he just basically says, it's not going to be the way you think it's going to be. I'm going to beat you on Friday.
He was basically said thank you for complimenting me on all my potential, but
Mhm.
I'm better than you now, and I'll show you on Friday night.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I think that's going to be a good match. As long as they don't let like Dan and Ethan interfere too much, I think it'll be a fun match to watch.
You,
Hopefully, they kind of just let those two go.
I'd say you never know what to expect with Dante because it was so easy to be impressed by him so early on with some of the stuff he does. But now, like, I'm used to seeing certain spots that used to wow me, so they wow me less because I'm like, yep, Dante Martin things. Okay.
Okay. Well, I'm still impressed by the Dante Martin things, as I've only been watching for about 6 months.
I'll be waiting for when he gets to be in like a big, meaningful feud where he can have a big, meaningful match at a pay per view and maybe, he gets to bust out either new things or things in new creative fashion. So the things that you kind of hold off for the big matches when he has a chance to actually try and go above and beyond. But he doesn't really get those kind of matches too
Yeah, I
often.
was gonna say he doesn't get big matches really. But I'm interested to see that match because I like watching Dante a lot.
I'll be interested to see what Scorpio can do with him specifically with because styles make matchups, right?
Hmm.
So who can do? And we were talking about with like Kyle O'Reilly and Darby, and Kyle being able to do things a little bit different than everybody else with his technical background. So Dante with like a Scorpio where he's super athletic. He doesn't necessarily look or wrestle all the time like a guy who can do 40-inch verticals and do all this crazy stuff, but I know Scorpio is super athletic. He has the ability to jump really high. He may not be the fastest person straight up running, but he has quickness. He has all those things. So it'll be interesting to see what their styles put together for it. Because even just countering different moves using Dante's skill set can make all the difference in the world.
Yeah, yeah, I'm ready for that one. But speaking of so speaking of matches that I actually liked, I it started off a little slow for me, but the next match with Britt Baker, DMD, and Jamie Hayter versus Ruby Soho and Tony Storm. So I thought the match started a little slow, but it definitely picks up as it goes. There's a few highlights throughout. I really liked Britt Baker's neck breaker on Tony, or was it on Ruby? I can't remember which one she hit it on.
I think she hit it twice during the match.
But
One
that
early on
little,
the outside and
yeah,
once
the
late.
one on the outside, that was the one that I liked. The little twisted net breaker on the outside. I thought that was pretty dope. What about you? What you got? Any highlights from that match?
At one point, so Jamie did the draping DDT on Tony Storm, with Tony's feet on the ring apron. She did it out to the floor on the outside. Um, there was a few different times, or there was two times later on in the match where Britt and Ruby had a nice little counter exchange. Once was really one time it was Britt went for the lockjaw, Ruby rolled over and had a pin. Britt tried to roll it back. It went to a pin
Yeah,
again. And then like Jamie slid in and pushed the pin over back towards the lockjaw, but Ruby ended up getting out of it in the end. But it was just a nice sequence that was a little bit different. It wasn't just back and forth the same two things. It was just nice seeing some of that stuff. And I felt like this match also was progressing some stories that we might expect to see happening because to me it felt like Jamie was less of a sidekick during this match.
yep, yeah. It's definitely. I feel like, especially with what happened after the match, like so, Ruby and Tony did pick up the win, and
Ruby pinned Brit after
Ruby pins
finishing
Britt
unknown.
after in the match. Yeah, and Jamie comes out of nowhere after the match with the Owen Hart belt and hits Ruby and Tony both over the head. And it kind of didn't seem like Britt was into it so much. As usually she's like, hell yeah, crony, kick their asses. But this time it just seemed kind of like she was like done
There
with it,
there was something
fed up with
off, but I couldn't tell if it was because what Jamie did or if
it.
it's because Jamie was touching her own title.
Okay, it might be that. Okay, we'll see. I think we'll see in the near future. But yeah, I think it might be it's either one of those or maybe they're
I'm,
gonna play up both
I was gonna say it's one of
things
those things
out of
that
it.
one doesn't mean it's not the other. It's just
Yeah.
in this situation, I thought I saw Britt kind of look at Jamie, then look at her like with holding the title, and kind of
Mhm.
had that like question look on her face, like, okay. And then it was more of a like a nod and like that little side hug, and they exit still friends.
Yeah.
But there was that
But yeah,
second pause there when she realized what Jamie did.
yeah, they're not gonna be friends for much longer. Though. I mean, who knows? This might be something that lasts forever. Like that one girl joining the House of Black took a year. And so I mean, I'm hopefully they're not going to be like, yeah, we're just going to leave this alone for 6 months.
Hey, thankfully it's not like a faction thing where you need like seven people to make sure the story progresses. At least this is a shorter thing where it's like even
Yeah,
if there is an injury, it's still a one-on-one thing, so it's even a lot easier to come back. Like if somebody was to get injured, hope that doesn't happen. But if somebody was to get
right.
injured, like how Ray Fenix did, um, having a one-on-one situation, coming back from injury and reigniting a feud is a lot easier than trying to get six or seven parts moving. Because really, that was a trios feud, but then you're adding in Julia Hart, so you have to have all seven parts, or at least six parts, because you can kind of hide Julia Hart in that situation.
Mhm.
But you have to have everything going. Like Jamie could come back, even injuries. You can do the classic. Um, let's say Brit got hurt, you can say have her show up or do something to attack Brit and injure her so that way you write off for TV and then she comes back and she wants revenge. Like even though it's so cliche and so basic, everyone understands revenge and it's such an easy thing to bring back.
Yeah, yeah. So near future, we think hopefully not 6 months from now, but there's going to be a split there, and
I'm
I
not
think we'll have a little
sure
feud between Jamie and Britt for a second.
I'm not sure when I expect the split to be. Oh, but I would say the split has to happen like at the absolute latest, all out. Because even then, that's like 3 months away. So you can have squabbles and stuff like that in between. Like the split cannot happen any later than that. I don't know necessarily about rushing the split, but you have about 3 months. So let's say what you can maybe have the split kind of take about a month and a half, and then it's at its boiling point, and then you still, it actually happens on like an episode of TV or maybe a special event kind of thing, and then you turn around and have the match at double or sorry, All Out.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah,
the seeds are already being planted, so it's conceivable that makes sense that maybe in like whenever the next. I keep forgetting that for the first time, like they're having pay-per-views in back-to-back months.
yeah,
So it
yeah.
kind of throws off timing.
Yeah, it's a little odd to me too. It's like, all right, so we're getting ready for another pay-per-view. Like that last one just ended, and we're getting ready for another one.
Because maybe it can actually kind of break apart like on the Fallout show for that or something. But then you still have 2 months, so you have to kind of you got some time. You got some time to fill. When can you do it and then keep it entertaining for the rest of the time? That's the real question.
No.
Speaking of feuds that will continue to go on,
Yeah,
next out we had Regal and Jericho
main
out for
event,
commentary, which for the Garcia versus Moxley match, which
which is our main event.
were you surprised at all about how this match went?
um, I was actually.
That
I was
Garcia got a
just
lot more
surprised.
in
Yeah, I was surprised that Garcia got to fight as much as he did without some kind of interruption. I was kind of thinking it was going to be all Mox and then some kind of interruption to
yeah,
get Garcia the win or at least get him in the match.
like it kind of felt like the story of this match was look how vicious Garcia is. Look how good Garcia is. But he's not Mox yet because it felt like Garcia actually had a lot of the offense for a long
He
time.
did
Um,
quite a bit of it. And like Mox was then, like Mox was busted open the whole match.
his stitches came out from Sunday.
Yeah,
Um,
stitches came out, so he was bleeding everywhere.
earlier in the earlier part of the match, at one point, Garcia has Mox's leg in between the stairs and the ring post, and he runs up and just drop kicks it. And certain things like that, I always go like, how can you do that and it not hurt slash not
Yeah.
hurt bad, bad, bad. Like I understand that some things are gonna hurt. Like you could pull punches and like it still connect and still feel it
Mhm.
and it hurt a little bit, but you're good to go. But something like that, I'm like, I don't see how that can't like hurt in a bad way.
It looked like it hurt to me.
At one point later, uh,
Yeah.
I'm back to the steps because Moxley hits like a vertical suplex, but when he has him up, he kind of releases him and flips him forward, and Garcia
Yeah.
lands back on the steps. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. It was a nasty looking landing.
there was a line that Jericho had that I actually had to highlight, and the situation was basically they were just trading exchanges and counters and submissions for a while, and they did this later in the match too, which was great when Moxley was a bloody mess. But probably maybe 5 minutes or so before the finish, they're trading submissions, and Jericho says, "I was the man of 1,004 holds, and Garcia knows 43 more." I had to enjoy that reference to a classic WCW Jericho promo. He's shooting with Dean Malenko. Did you ever see
Yeah.
that one?
See, I wouldn't have. I definitely wouldn't remember that.
He had, in the cartoonish way, like one of those rolls scrolls of paper that probably went like 20 feet long, and he was in the ring.
Mhm.
And since Malenko was a man of 1,000 holds, he's like, I know 1,004. So he comes out and he starts going and listing holds alphabetically. He's like armbar, and he goes through and goes through lists. He repeats some of them multiple times. He does this going into a commercial break. They come back from commercial break, and he's still going through a list. So the whole implications that the whole commercial break he was going through this giant list. It's one of the. There's a few things I think people, if they enjoy WCW or they have fond memories of it or they think back to Jericho that time, it's usually like the Man of 1,004 Holes thing, um, conspiracy conspiracy theory Jericho, or him with the weird lackey that he had at one point. But I don't even remember that much. But I know people ask about that dude.
I honestly don't remember Jericho's WCW run that well, despite being more into WCW than WWF back then, just because WCW didn't use him right. Like he was kind of a joke in WCW.
Well, the problem with him in WCW was more so that anyone that was of like his tier that ended up becoming future stars, right? Like him, Eddie Guerrero, uh,
Yeah, like
your
like
friend
him
Chris,
and
that we
Gur.
won't say his last name, um, that they were kind of they had a glass ceiling. Basically,
Mhm.
Hogan like held everybody down, right? And there was only a few stars that Hogan would let be on that same level kind of situation.
Yeah,
Um, because in terms of the young talent, like Jericho and the cruiserweights, he was treated great. The problem is you had that giant glass ceiling. Because I loved him, and
yeah,
I know they put a lot of attention on like their cruiserweights and stuff, and I love that stuff. So I was a big fan, like the Eddie and the Eddie Rey Mysterio and a lot of those storylines. Because most of the main eventers, besides like DDP and Sting, I didn't give a shit about.
yeah. My favorite guy was Scott Hall because he's the bad guy.
I was always up. I was always torn on him and Nash back in the day. A lot of it really depended on the year of WCW because I was never big into the NWO. I understood how huge they
Okay.
are and everything. I probably had a shirt as a kid because there's probably a couple of people I liked that ended up joining it
Say they
because
had Dennis Rodman.
Well, 80% of the
and Karl
roster was in the
Malone.
NWO at some point.
They had Dennis Rodman and Karl Malone.
Did Karl Malone turn on DDP and join it?
Yeah,
Because I know he fought the NWO at first. I just
yeah. He joined eventually. Yep.
Yeah, see, that was when WCW was starting to go. Hold on, hold on.
Yeah, that was kind of
Gotta do
yeah
this
when
the
they were
camera
like
way.
yeah like they when they decided they were gonna stop kicking the shit out of WWF.
hmm
Yeah, it
So
was
I was
rough.
always a big fan of like Jericho before he went to WWF, but that was
Okay,
because I cruiserweights were probably my favorite part of the show
true.
back then.
I did like a whole lot of Eddie Guerrero back then. Some Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, those were my guys too.
I hated Eddie, but that's because I was a kid and he was doing his job because he was a bad guy. I think
Yeah,
almost
yeah, he played the
entirely
bad
for
guy
WCW.
because he was basically like
A pissed
the
off
one
guy.
he was the one gatekeeping Rey Mysterio from getting to the cruiserweight title the whole time.
And his whole personality was just being pissed off, like sneering and stuff.
Mm,
So it was like hard to ever really root for that kind of guy. So like
yeah,
I mean I knew he was
yeah.
good because he was the guy that I hated that was so good that was tough to beat. So like I knew he was
It's
good.
funny as you get older, you're like, hell yeah, he lies, he cheats, he steals. That's what's up. I like that guy.
That's when he gained
As a kid, you're like, oh
personality.
no, he's real bad. You can't like him. Now I'm like, he lies, he cheats, he steals. Hell yeah.
Goes around just
He's
calls
a
every
regular
woman mommy.
person. Yeah. Calls all his women mommy, drives up to the ring in a lowrider. Dog. Who else did that?
Challenges his
Shit.
best friend for custody of his son in a ladder match.
I forgot about that. God.
And now
Oh, we didn't finish talking about that match. 'Cause we got talking about Jericho and WCW. But
oh
speaking of Jericho, during this Mox and Garcia match, as assumed, Jericho gets up from the announce table and he tries to interfere. But before he gets to the ring, Eddie Kingston grabs his leg, or Eddie Kingston runs out there and almost falls on his face.
Camera did a good cut to get away from it right before we looked like he
Yeah,
was gonna fall.
yeah, he almost fell on his face, caught himself, and grabs Jericho's leg before he gets in the ring,
Jericho, who is
and
now
just
wearing a hat because he's missing a giant chunk of hair.
yeah, yeah. Kingston just gives him the beat down, and of course, during all of this, during all the interference, uh, Garcia tries to get the roll up pin on Mox. Of course, doesn't work out. Mox hits a paradigm shift and wins the match.
Nope, hold on. It was a bulldog choke after the paradigm shift.
Bulldog choke after the paradigm
Because
shift.
they like to
Yeah.
basically knock them out with a move and then make them submit slash pass out.
Yes.
Can't
There
just
we
boot them.
go.
Yeah,
Paradigm shift, then choke him out for
I,
the win.
I that basically it's just one line of notes about how the match ends after the Jericho note that's of the comment. And so it's like, oh yeah,
Mhm.
there is one more line of notes. It was just very basic.
Yeah. So my other line of notes is one of the matches that's going to happen on Rampage that I'm kind of interested in because the last time I saw those two in a match was great. Young Bucks will face Lucha Brothers on Friday.
They
Like
tried to
I'm
announce this probably 3 times during the match, and it just kept getting cut off.
yeah, Jericho kept cutting them off to talk about the match that's happening while they tried to tell us, hey, there's a big match on Friday that you're gonna want to watch. Jericho's look at Daniel Garcia.
Yeah, they just basically said the Young Bucks are gonna face the team that upset them to take the tag team titles. Jericho interruption. Come back later. And get to finally announce Lucha Bros versus Young Bucks Friday. This is 100% going the Young Bucks way.
Oh yeah, definitely a Young Bucks win. I'm just excited to see the match because the last match I saw between those two was really cool. Like it was a whole lot of setup fiat like acrobatic type of stuff, but I like seeing that. So
You can
I look forward
appreciate
to it.
the athleticism and the craziness.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I look forward to seeing that stuff. Plus, I think the best super kicks are actually like the Lucha Brothers have better super kicks than the Young Bucks. Like they look cleaner to me. Or maybe it's just because the Young Bucks do so many of them that they don't look as clean. Because by like the fifth one, it's like, all right, man, how obvious do you have to slap your thigh every single time?
The crazy part
Like,
is somehow I managed to never notice it. I think my eyes always fixate on the chin just to see if there's actual contact made.
mm,
Somehow I always miss it, and sometimes I even try to think like look for the leg slap, but my brain just looks at the point of contact, which I guess that's the
good.
whole point, sleight of hand kind of
Yeah.
thing. Like your
Yeah. It's
attention's
just
supposed
like,
to be here, not seeing this.
because yeah, it's like when there's only one or two, like I don't notice it, but after like the third one, I'm like, all right, so like I can see the obvious leg slap now.
Especially when it's a super kick party and it's at back to back to back, because when they do it as like a counter for something, like a springboard or something like that, and it's like a quick cut and a like a quick counter, those
Yeah,
always look great.
yeah, yeah. Like and that and like you don't because it goes so quick, you don't really see it. Like the super kick party is slower, drawn out, so you see every little motion in it, and yeah, it's pretty obvious. But either way, it's going to be a whole lot of super kicks because both teams love to do super kicks a lot,
There's
and
gonna be a
there's
lot
going
of
to be a lot of
flying between Phoenix and Nick Jackson specifically.
yeah, there's going to be some high flying. Like, I'm ready for that. So we've got that match. There's what was the other match that we got? Oh yeah,
I
the Dante and Scorpio. That should be a solid match too, I think.
and it's Rampage, so 1 hour show, so we probably squeeze what one more in there.
Yeah. And so yeah, there'll be at least one more match and then,
Probably a women's
promos
match.
here and there.
Maybe they'll throw in Kira versus. Oh no, Athena. Athena has a match.
Athena has a match. Okay.
Yep, I remember they were saying. I forgot who they said it was against. Kira Hogan was make sense, but I remember specifically them saying Athena has a match. Now,
Okay.
with that
So
being
there we
said,
go.
just like we'll see Athena on Friday night, we'll see you Friday night after the show.
Eh,
Where's the stop button?